As software developers, we all like to be comfortable when working with code, but often we arrive for the first time on the computer which we use, and there is no time to set up the environment. I work across Windows and Linux, often on code which I've just downloaded. Many users try to keep it simple and use Vim on Linux. But when I see them working, then they keep coming up short when they realize they're in the wrong edit mode. Many users use Visual Studio, but Visual Studio 2022 has now removed support for macros, and so it is impossible to customize the environment. The best alternative possibilities are shown here. I think that you need a scripting language if you wish to invest in productivity. Only Microemacs and Emacs offers this, but few people are willing to learn the complexities of Emacs. When studying code, then the navigation needs to be simply muscle memory, and any conscious action inevitably becomes a distraction. The other issue which arises is that most apps are now so big that the computer slows down. Visual Studio uses 300 times more CPU memory than Microemacs. Even starting up the calculator on Windows 10 takes 40 times more memory than Microemacs. The figures on the left show that when editing a typical file, Nano is 8 times bigger than Microemacs. You can study the Microemacs source code to learn how to write faster code. The machine code lives in the CPU caches, and the smaller the code is, the faster it will run. How can this build of Microemacs make your life easier? These are some of the many features which Microemacs offers you. You can store your passwords encrypted on a remote machine. You can use tag files and search the included files. You can browse directory structures. You can invoke apps from within the editor with useful shortcuts when building the command. You can build functions to manipulate text. You can create keystroke macros. You can use the built-in calculator and indeed build simple spreadsheets. You can see immediately when another app changes your file. Let us see the use of some of these features. This is Microemacs on Linux. This is Nano on Windows. I'm not aware of any way to selectively disable this Christmas tree of colours. So search. This is Microemacs on Windows. Search for L_bar text. Notice that the pattern can be ignored inside comments. and again and again and again. By far the commonest search is take me to the next use of this variable. And Alt move left takes me to the previous use. Microemacs offers a single key, Alt-Z, to auto-complete a word by searching backwards. Nano can also do this. Tag files and searching include files are supported. Search include files, and search tag files. You can pipe text into Microemacs. What else does Microemacs offer? This is viewing a directory in Microemacs. To my knowledge, Nano can do none of the above things. In Microemacs, there are shortcut keys which are available on the internal command line. I use another tool, FF, which is available at github.com/questaware/filters. This is a more terse form of Linux find and Windows find str. After downloading code, the first thing I do is, for example, browsing is then by Ctrl-X, Ctrl-F, Ctrl-K. This edits the file. If I want to see which code uses a structure field, I use this. Ctrl-X at FF, Ctrl-W, which is the word in the text, and now Alt-2 will recover the word. This is the startup file emacs.rc. Macro 7 is an example of something generally useful. It is bound to function key 4. So we can number these messages and we can renumber them. Macro 23 is an example of how a macro could be used to help converting Fortran to Python. I recommend codeconvert.ai for this, but this is just an exercise. This script asks for each reference to an array element whether or not you want to convert the parentheses into braces. Microemacs knows when /source/myfile is the same file as myfile, but /myfile is always treated as a different file just because it starts /. This enables you to refer to the contents of the file before you started editing it. Macro 21 allows you to see the differences Git indicates. It is easy to build Microemacs in Visual Studio, typically 2022, and we will do that now. The Git repository contains the executable built in Visual Studio C++ 6.0. Software is not as good as it used to be, and this build confirms it, since the executable is half the size. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you might want to try Microemacs.